Imagine a world where your commute is like smooth sailing, no traffic jams, no stop and go, just a seamless flow from point A to point B.
Sounds pretty ideal.
Right. Well, that's actually what we're going to be diving into today.
Oh, wow.
We found this super cool article from MIT News about a new algorithm that could make this whole AI-managed traffic thing a reality.
Yeah, this new algorithm is really shaking things up in the AI world. It's all about making AI learning way more efficient.
Okay, so before we get too far into the nitty-gritty, can we back up for a sec? I think it'd be helpful to remind everyone what reinforcement learning is.
Absolutely. So reinforcement learning is basically a type of machine learning where an AI agent learns by interacting with its environment. So it's kind of like trial and error.
Okay, so it tries things out, sees what works and what doesn't.
Right. And based on the feedback it gets, whether it's a reward or a penalty,
Mhm.
the AI learns to make better decisions over time.
So it's like training a dog. You give it treats for good behavior and maybe a timeout for bad behavior.
Exactly. The AI is trying to figure out how to get the most rewards, basically.
So it's like those chess-playing AIs that get better and better with each game they play.
Exactly. They learn from their wins and losses.
Okay, cool. So that's reinforcement learning in a nutshell. But this article mentioned that these models can be a little brittle. What does that mean?
Yeah. So that's one of the big challenges with AI right now. It's like you train an AI to do something really well in a specific situation, but then you change things up even just a little bit and it completely falls apart.
I see. So it's like a self-driving car that's amazing on a sunny day with clear roads, but as soon as it starts raining or there's construction, it's like, what do I do?
Yeah, that's a good analogy. These AI models can be super sensitive to changes in their environment.
So even small hiccups can throw them off. That sounds kind of scary, especially if we're talking about AI managing traffic in a busy city.
Yeah, that's why this new algorithm from MIT is so exciting. It's called MBTL, which stands for Model-Based Transfer Learning.
MBTL. Okay, that's a mouthful. What is it about this MBTL that makes it so special?
So the key here is transfer learning.
Yeah.
It's basically training an AI to do one task and then seeing if it can apply that knowledge to a similar but different task.
So it's like if you learn to ride a bike, it might be easier to learn how to ride a scooter later on because some of those skills transfer over.
Exactly. You got it. And now think about this in the context of training AI to manage traffic. Instead of having to train it on every single intersection in a city, which would take forever.
And probably need tons of data.
Right. MBTL allows the AI to learn from just a few key intersections.
Oh, so it's like finding those shortcuts, those most efficient ways for the AI to learn.
Exactly. And it does this by using algorithms to figure out which of those shortcuts will actually lead to the best overall performance. That's the model-based part of MBTL.
Interesting. So it's not just picking random shortcuts. It's like having a strategy for picking the best ones.
Precisely. And the researchers say this approach is like 5 to 50 times more efficient than the standard methods.
Whoa, 5 to 50 times. That's insane. What does that translate to in the real world, though?
Well, it means we need less data to train the AI, which is huge. And it also means that training happens way faster. And in the end, you get AI that performs better, too.
So it's like a win-win-win situation.
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
And it opens up a whole world of possibilities for using AI to tackle more complex problems, even in situations where we don't have a ton of data.
So let's bring it back to that traffic management example.
Yeah.
How would this MBTL actually work in that scenario?
All right, so imagine you have this AI that needs to learn how to manage traffic flow at like hundreds of intersections all across the city. Instead of training a separate algorithm for each one, which would be a nightmare.
Yeah, that would take forever.
Right, or training one giant algorithm on data from every single intersection, which might not work so well either.
Okay, I'm following.
MBTL takes a smarter approach. It first figures out which intersections are like the most representative of the city's overall traffic patterns.
So it's like finding the keystone intersections, the ones that influence how traffic flows everywhere else.
Yeah, you could think of it that way. And then it trains separate algorithms for just those key intersections. And here's where the magic of transfer learning happens. Because the AI has learned from these strategically chosen intersections, it can then apply that knowledge to manage traffic across the entire city, even at intersections it's never seen before.
Whoa, so it's like it learns the fundamental rules of traffic flow from those key intersections, and then it can generalize that knowledge to any intersection.
You got it. And the potential benefits are huge. The article talked about things like faster travel times, improved safety.
Oh, and I bet it could even help reduce emissions because cars wouldn't be idling as much.
Exactly. It's a win for everyone.
This is incredible. But there's one part of MBTL that I'm still not totally clear on. How does it choose those keystone intersections in the first place? You mentioned something about generalization performance. What does that even mean?
Yeah, good question. So generalization performance is basically a fancy way of saying how well the AI can apply what it's learned to new but similar situations.
Okay, so in the traffic example, it's about making sure that the AI can manage traffic effectively at any intersection, not just the ones it's specifically trained on.
Right. It's about finding the intersections that will teach the AI the most transferable skills.
I got it. So it's not just about how well the AI performs on one specific task, it's about how well it can adapt and perform in a variety of situations.
Exactly. And that's why MBTL is so revolutionary.
Yeah.
It actually builds a model of how the AI learns. It's
Hmm.
kind of like a scout for a sports team.
A scout.
Yeah. You're not just looking for players who are good at one specific drill. You're looking for players who have the potential to adapt and excel in a variety of game situations.
Ah, so it's about assessing the AI's potential, not just its current performance.
Exactly.
Hmm.
And that's what sets MBTL apart. By focusing on generalization performance, it can figure out which training data is actually the most valuable, making the whole process way more efficient.
This is starting to make a lot of sense. This isn't just about making traffic lights smarter. It's about fundamentally changing how we approach AI training, making it more effective and adaptable. But the article also mentioned that MBTL goes way beyond just managing traffic, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. It has the potential to revolutionize AI development across tons of different fields.
Okay, hold on. Before we jump into all that, let's take a quick break to recharge, and then we'll dive into some of the other mind-blowing applications of this MBTL technology. Stay tuned.
Sounds good. You know, it's funny. We always think about AI like in those big, flashy ways.
Yeah, like self-driving cars or robots that can do our dishes.
Exactly, like right out of a sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
But what's really cool about this MBTL is that it can also make a difference in those less glamorous areas like healthcare.
Healthcare. Okay, now you've got my attention. How could MBTL be used in something like that?
Well, imagine training an AI to diagnose diseases from medical images.
Oh, like X-rays and CT scans.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Traditionally, that would need like a massive amount of labeled images.
Which would probably be super expensive and take forever to get.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But with MBTL, you could potentially train the AI on just a small but carefully chosen set of images and still get really accurate results.
So it's like giving the AI a crash course in reading medical images,
Yeah.
but like a super targeted and efficient crash course.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And this could be huge for diagnosing rare diseases or conditions where we just don't have a lot of data to work with.
I see. So instead of needing thousands of examples of a rare disease, you might only need a few well-chosen cases to train the AI. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
And it's not just about diagnosis either. MBTL could also be used to personalize treatment plans, predict patient outcomes.
Oh, wow. Even help develop new drugs.
Exactly. It could revolutionize pretty much every aspect of healthcare.
This is mind-blowing. So we've got traffic management, we've got healthcare. What other fields could benefit from this MBTL thing?
Well, the same principles could be applied to things like finance, where AI is already being used a lot,
Like for making investment decisions or catching fraud?
right? Imagine you're training an AI to spot fraudulent transactions instead of feeding it millions and millions of transactions.
Which would probably overload the poor thing.
You could use MBTL to pick out a smaller set of transactions that represent like the most common types of fraud.
So it's like teaching the AI to recognize the red flags, the telltale signs of fraudulent activity.
Exactly. And once it's learned those patterns, it can apply that knowledge to detect a much wider range of fraud, even stuff it's never seen before.
That sounds incredibly valuable for banks and credit card companies.
For sure. But it could also help individual investors too. Imagine an AI-powered financial advisor that can give you personalized investment advice.
Based on my own risk tolerance and financial goals.
Exactly. And with MBTL, that kind of personalized AI could become much more accessible and affordable.
So it's like democratizing access to sophisticated financial tools, not just for big institutions, but for everyday people.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
We're just scratching the surface here. Think about manufacturing, where AI can optimize production processes and predict equipment failures.
Or agriculture, where AI can help farmers monitor crops and maximize yields.
Exactly. We're talking about a future where AI is seamlessly integrated into every aspect of our lives, making things more efficient, more personalized, more accessible.
It's a pretty amazing vision. And it sounds like this MBTL algorithm is a key piece of the puzzle.
It definitely is. And the researchers are already looking ahead to even more complex applications. But before we get too carried away,
Let's talk about some of the challenges they're facing.
Right. So one of the biggest hurdles is scaling up MBTL to handle those really complex problems with tons of variables and moving parts.
Like, what kind of problems are we talking about here?
Well, imagine using MBTL to train an AI to control a robot that has like dozens of joints and can move in all sorts of crazy ways.
Oh, wow. So the number of possible tasks and configurations just explodes.
Exactly. It's like going from teaching the AI to play checkers to teaching it to play like a super advanced version of chess.
And that requires way more powerful algorithms and a lot more computing power.
Yeah, for sure. But the researchers are optimistic that they can figure it out.
Well, I certainly hope they do, because this whole MBTL thing sounds incredibly promising. But speaking of pushing the boundaries, I'm curious about those next generation mobility systems that the article mentioned. What did they have in mind there?
Now that's where things get really interesting.
Okay, I'm all ears.
So they were talking about using MBTL to optimize traffic flow, not just at individual intersections, but across entire cities.
I think we touched on that a bit earlier, but I'm
Sure.
guessing they're thinking even bigger here.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Imagine a system where AI is managing not only the traffic lights.
But also things like speed limits, lane closures, even routing individual vehicles.
Exactly. It's like having this invisible conductor orchestrating the entire flow of traffic.
That's an awesome analogy. And I can only imagine the benefits. We're talking about way less congestion, improved safety.
And even better fuel efficiency, because cars wouldn't be idling as much.
This sounds incredible. It's like the ultimate solution to our traffic woes. But what about the practical challenges of actually implementing something like this?
Well, you'd need a really robust network of sensors to collect all that real-time data on traffic conditions.
You got to feed the AI with accurate info if you want it to make smart decisions.
Right. And then you'd need to develop algorithms that can handle the mind-boggling complexity of managing a whole city's transportation system.
It sounds like a monumental task.
It is. But with all the progress we're seeing in AI and sensor technology, it's definitely becoming more and more feasible.
Okay, so let's say we can overcome all those challenges. What would this AI-powered transportation system actually look like in practice?
Well, picture this. You're heading to work, but instead of stressing out about traffic,
Yeah, that sounds heavenly.
you just plug your destination into your car's navigation system, and the AI figures out the most efficient route.
Taking into account all the real-time traffic conditions, construction weather, everything,
Exactly. It's like having a personal traffic controller in your pocket.
that's a game changer. And I bet it wouldn't just be for individual cars. The AI could also optimize public transportation, making buses and trains run more smoothly and connecting different modes of transportation.
Right. It's about creating a truly integrated transportation ecosystem where everything works together seamlessly.
And that could make our cities so much more livable, sustainable, and efficient. It's a really inspiring vision. But as with any new technology, there are bound to be some concerns.
For sure.
Like, what about privacy? If the AI is tracking every vehicle in the city, doesn't that raise some red flags?
Yeah, that's a valid concern. And it's something researchers and policymakers are thinking about very carefully. One solution could be to anonymize the data.
So you can still see the overall traffic patterns without being able to identify individual vehicles.
Exactly. And there are also questions about security, making sure the AI system itself is protected from hackers and stuff like that.
Those are definitely important considerations. But it seems like the potential benefits of this AI-powered transportation system could be worth it if we can address those concerns properly.
I agree. And as with any new tech, it's crucial to have these discussions early on and to get input from everyone involved.
Speaking of which, the researchers mentioned that they're looking to partner with companies to bring this MBTL technology to the real world. What kind of collaborations are they looking for?
Well, they're especially interested in working with companies in the transportation, robotics, and healthcare sectors.
Which makes sense, given all the potential applications we've talked about. But what about beyond those industries? Could MBTL be useful in fields that we haven't even thought of yet?
Absolutely. That's the beauty of this technology. Its potential is so vast, and we're really just getting started.
It feels like we're just scratching the surface of what MBTL could do.
I agree. And as researchers keep refining the algorithm and figuring out what it can do, I think we're going to see some truly groundbreaking stuff in the next few years.
It's an exciting time to be following the world of AI for sure. But before we get too caught up in all the possibilities, let's take a step back and reflect on what we've learned about MBTL so far.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Let's do a quick recap, and then we can talk about some of the broader implications of this technology.
Okay, so first things first. What exactly is MBTL and what makes it so revolutionary?
So in a nutshell, MBTL is a new way of training AI that combines transfer learning with model-based optimization.
And what makes it so special? Why is everyone so excited about it?
Well, it's incredibly efficient. By carefully choosing which tasks to train the AI on MBTL, can achieve the same level of performance as traditional methods, but using way less data and training time.
So less data, faster training, better results. That's pretty impressive.
It is. And it means we can potentially tackle more complex problems with AI even in situations where data is scarce. And it also makes AI technology more accessible to a wider range of users.
Okay, so we've got the nuts and bolts down, but what about the bigger picture? What are the implications of MBTL for society as a whole?
That's the million-dollar question. And it's something we'll explore in more detail right after this.
Okay, so we're back. And we've talked a lot about what MBTL is and how it works, but now I want to dive into the big question. What does all this mean for the future?
That's the exciting part, right? Figuring out how this technology will actually impact our lives.
Exactly. I mean, it's clear that MBTL has the potential to change things in a big way, but how will it affect our everyday lives?
Well, one of the first areas we might see an impact is the job market.
Oh, yeah. That's what a lot of people think about when they hear about AI, right? That's going to come for our jobs.
It's a natural concern. But I think it's important to remember that technology has always been changing the way we work.
Like the invention of the car probably put a lot of blacksmiths out of business.
Right. But it also created a whole bunch of new jobs that people couldn't have even imagined before.
So you're saying AI is more likely to change jobs rather than completely eliminate them?
That's my take. We'll need to adapt and learn new skills, but there will be new opportunities too.
Okay, that makes sense. So instead of being afraid of AI, we should be thinking about how to work with it.
Exactly. And that's where education becomes super important. We need to make sure future generations have the skills they'll need in an AI-powered world.
Yeah, like coding and data analysis are obviously important, but what about those softer skills like creativity and problem solving?
Those are going to be even more critical in the future.
Ugh.
We need people who can think critically, come up with innovative solutions, and work effectively in teams.
It's like we need to prepare students for jobs that don't even exist yet. That's a tall order for our education system.
It is. But it's also a really exciting challenge. It's about rethinking how we approach education altogether.
You know, it strikes me that this MBTL algorithm is a great example of what we're talking about. It's all about figuring out the most effective way to learn whether you're an AI or a human.
Absolutely. And it highlights another really interesting point. As AI gets more sophisticated, it can actually help us learn and understand things better.
Really? How so?
Well, imagine having an AI tutor that's personalized to your learning style and can adjust to your pace, or an AI research assistant that can help you analyze massive amounts of data.
So it's like AI can actually boost our own intelligence and help us discover new things.
Yeah, that's the idea. And it kind of leads us to this final thought-provoking question.
Hmm.
As we develop AI that can learn and adapt so well, it makes us rethink what intelligence actually means.
Okay, now we're getting philosophical. What are you getting at?
Well, for a long time, we've defined intelligence based on our own human abilities,
Yeah.
like logic, reason, problem solving.
Makes sense. We tend to see things from our own perspective.
Right. But now we're creating AI that can do some of these things as well as we can, or even better.
Hmm.
So it challenges our whole understanding of what it means to be intelligent.
So you're saying we need to broaden our definition of intelligence to include different ways of thinking and solving problems.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's where things get really interesting.
Yeah.
By studying AI, we might actually learn more about our own minds and the nature of intelligence itself.
Wow. That's a pretty mind-blowing idea to wrap things up. So it sounds like this MBTL algorithm is more than just a cool piece of technology. It's potentially a catalyst for a huge shift in how we work, learn, and even understand intelligence itself.
I think that's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And it really underscores the importance of approaching AI development responsibly and thoughtfully.
Yeah.
We need to consider not just the technical aspects, but also the societal and ethical implications of this incredibly powerful technology.
Absolutely. Well said. And to all our listeners out there, we'd love to hear your thoughts on this. What do you think about this MBTL algorithm and what it could mean for the future?
Yeah. Head over to our social media channels and let's have a conversation about it.
We're always eager to hear your perspectives. And as always, we encourage you to keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep diving deep into the world of knowledge.
That's what it's all about.
Until next time, stay curious, everyone.